Hey guys, it's Gary. Back after a bit of a delay. I've been really slacking off quite a bit lately, and I know, I'm supposed to be doing the Dave Brubeck Associated folks, and I got a whole thing prepared on Paul Desmond. Of course, the problem is I've already recorded it twice, and it didn't take. Various problems. Also, my computer's running out of space, and I've been spending the last week seeing what I could delete out of my computer, and I was able to get maybe 2 gigs free, and that's it. So that's not very good. So I don't know if you folks actually delete your videos out of your computer after you post them on YouTube. And the only problem with that is that, if for some reason you delete them off your YouTube page or change your account name or something like that, you can't upload them again. So I'm a little perplexed. I don't know if I should be deleting those out of my computer, which would obviously create a bunch of space. Anyway, I got an idea for a kind of a new series and something that I could keep short instead of these incredibly long things I've been doing. How do I keep it short? By featuring only one album. As I've been digging through my vinyl, to prepare these things and to look at what I have, and in some cases, now that I've got the time, to actually play some vinyl things that I haven't listened to in over 30 years since I first bought them. I go through, my bins of vinyl, etc., etc. And every time I come across a couple albums, but one in particular, I think, wow, that's got to be one of the most obscure things that I have. So I decided to maybe do an occasional series, just featuring one album each time, of the more obscure things I have. And by obscure, I don't mean just vinyl. It could be CDs. It just so happens that because I was around collecting vinyl when there were no CDs, obviously I have vinyl that's a lot older. Some things, from the 70s or so, maybe even earlier, that may have not been released on CD, or a record company went out of business or whatever. So they may not have gotten issued on CD. But this series idea could certainly encompass CDs. CDs have been around long enough for, as we fans know, many small labels to no longer exist, from the early CD era in the late 80s. And so there's some incredible out-of-print CDs, and even obscure, small record labels or independent record labels that aren't around anymore. But while I'm going through flipping through my vinyl every single time, I come across this one album, and I think, God, man, that's got to be one of the most obscure things I have. So I thought maybe I'd do a series. I can only really think of a few albums that I have that would fall under this category, maybe 3 off the bat. And I don't mean like things like just rare for rare's sake, like a limited edition single or something like that, or a repackaging. I have this weird 2 vinyl set of, for no reason at all, 2 albums packaged together, one by Max Roach, one by Art Blakey. Why not 2 albums by Art Blakey or 2 albums by Max Roach? But for some reason they packaged 1 album of each together. But they were all, things that were previously released individually. So something like that I'm not talking about. I'm talking about individual original material albums. And every time I flip across this one, I'm like, well, I can remember. Here's the weird thing. I can remember when I bought it, but I can't remember where I bought it. It's by a gentleman named Jerome Cooper, a percussionist, called The Unpredictability of Predictability. Say that 10 times fast. I think I know the record shop I bought it in, but it's weird because I don't remember the record shop writing the little independent record store that I used to buy things at. Oddly enough, last time I was unemployed, so this would have been the very early 80s, I was buying a lot of weird, obscure things, and I was hanging out at this record store and buying a lot of, new sealed albums for $3.99 or so. I think that's where I bought this, but I don't remember them writing the price on the actual, on the albums like this. Still got the shrink wrap on there. But I remember seeing this a bunch of times before I bought it, so it must have been the local record shop, which I don't think is there anymore in New Jersey. What this is if you don't know Jerome Cooper, he's kind of associated more with the free jazz area than anything else. And also another first, I'm actually playing the album in the background. I haven't played this album for 30 years maybe. and my intent is probably to copy it in my computer, but I really don't have the space. And normally I would copy it in my computer and burn a CDR after I edit the files, but it takes a lot of time. So this is the first time I've ever actually done a video where I was playing the actual vinyl and not a CDR burned from the vinyl. So I actually have my turntable going. But the, percussionist associated with the free jazz thing more than anything else. I'm pretty sure he was based in New York. Pretty much his at least the last several decades of his life. He played with the Revolutionary Ensemble in the mid-'70s. Rashawn Roland Kirk he played with on a couple albums. Played with Cecil Taylor, who's probably Cecil Taylor being amongst the better-known people. He recorded an album in 1980 with Cecil Taylor. Recorded with Anthony Braxton in 1974, and also Lester Bowie, in addition to a whole bunch of albums on his own as a leader. Some of them had guests, like they'd be like duet albums or something like that, but a great deal of them were actually percussion albums, solo percussion albums. And that's what I saw this one was. Recorded at Soundscape, New York City, a concert. So it was a concert. What do you call it? Not a hall, not even not a club, more like a loft, I guess. It looks like a loft. It was recorded in concerts. It's a live album of solo percussion, July 6, 1979, which I can remember. I can remember July 1979 quite vividly. I remember what I was doing at the time and all that. So it's all original music. Great back cover photo. The back cover of the photo where I don't know specifically that that's a photo of him from this particular concert. But I would guess because I'm pretty sure that was a loft that he was playing in. And if you can hear, I don't know to what extent you hear the music in the background. I think that's the balafone it sounds like there's at least two people playing. But he's playing the bass drum and the hi-hat with his feet, and he's playing this balafone, which is that wooden keys, a bit like a marimba. I'm sure he's playing that with mallets. So it sounds like there's overdubbing or there's two people playing, but it's not. It's all Jerome Cooper solo. And this is a pretty damn obscure album. So it's on About Time Records, a label out of New York, which I'd never heard of before. And I'm wondering if it's possible it's something that Jerome, just his own label, that he puts his own stuff out on. And this would be an independent label at a time when independent labels were pretty rare. But again, this is not something that's going to sell 1 million copies. So it's about 41, 42 minutes. He plays the balafone, which is that kind of wooden percussive instrument you hear. He plays something called a chirama that I've never heard of before. I don't know what that is. Or Chiramia. I don't know what that is. Bass drum, sock cymbal, floor tom, a little bit of voice. He plays drum kit with the mallet. Also, he plays a bit of flute on one track, on side one. But a real interesting album. He wrote some brief notes on here saying this is not an album for drummers. Anyone into music can dig this music. Classical music people can dig it because it's structured. People into rock because of the beat. People into jazz because of the improvisational aspect, and those into ethnic music because of the instruments involved. And it does. It sounds very, very ethnic, very world music-ish, a bit African-ish. But pretty obscure album. Definitely one up there. And I looked to see, and it doesn't look like it ever saw a reissue on CD or anything. Which I'm maybe a little bit surprised because, if I'm correct in assuming that Jerome Cooper, this is probably his label, I'm surprised that he didn't, over the course of the years, re-release it as a CD. I was going to say, because of, recent activity and albums that he's got that were recorded in the last few years, I was going to say that Jerome is still alive. So but as always, I always try to go on Wikipedia before I record my video. And I discovered that actually Jerome just passed away this past May 6th, 2015. So just a matter of a few months ago, he passed away, according to his daughter. I believe he has some type of cancer. So maybe a little bit too late in the appreciation of it. And it's kind of weird because that's the same exact time period, right in the last few months, just at the time he passed away, just before he passed away, that I kept on coming across this album and thinking, man, that's got to be one of the more obscure things I have. And what I see, just taking a quick look on Amazon, I didn't look at Discogs to see if there's copies floating around. On Amazon, the album is listed only on vinyl, and there's no copies of it whatsoever, new or used. So my vote is going to, this is probably one of my more obscure things. And listening to the vinyl, this is the first time I've played anything of it in 30 years, probably more. It's in really good condition. I don't think I played it more than a few times. It's not quiet music. It's certainly, it creates an atmosphere. It's not maybe late night music. Very ethnic sounding. Very interesting guy. Did a whole bunch, up until very recently, too, of solo percussion albums. And I thought, I've got a few albums that maybe fit into this idea. And there he is, the man at work. So this is kind of be like an appreciation of, I guess, Jerome Cooper, now that I just discovered that he passed away. And, the beginning of an occasional series, and, one that I can keep short. And, maybe it'd be interesting if people picked up on this, if they have things that they come across. And they don't even have to be albums that they particularly love or that are favorites. But, maybe they're just obscure and really weird. And just like, wow, I never heard anybody else talk about this album, that kind of thing. It would be great if other people could pick up on the thread, even, months from now, and just as they come across something, think, I don't fit that category. I've never seen anybody talk about it, never heard it played anywhere, never seen any references to it, don't see any copies out there available. So it's just one of those things that I picked up, and now I'm getting back into, now that I'm not working, and I'm going back to a lot of things that I bought back in the early 80s and actually pulling out vinyl, like I showed, I think I showed my Buddy Rich things. Yeah, some albums that I had by Buddy Rich. Turned out they were compilation albums, but I didn't know it at the time. And now I got interested in hearing the music again and, played it and copied it in my computer and burnt the CD and ended up even looking for the CD reissues of it. But apparently there's no CD reissue of this. And with his passing, I don't really think there's going to be. But I got a couple discs. Instead of doing, showing the 3 discs that I have right now that I could think of, and then that being it, I figured I'd do, this occasional shorter video for me. Hopefully it doesn't go on too long. And so, I hope this was kind of interesting. I'm going to get back to the Dave Brubeck and Paul Desmond thing. That's just a kind of, one of my typical long-winded things. And I thought I thought me and my Tiki Lights would come and do a short visit on this early evening, late afternoon. And, hope it was interesting. Maybe for you folks out there, it'll spur some kind of interest, and maybe, you can look through your archives and see what you've got that kind of fits the bill, and maybe, also do your own series of the real obscure things that you have. Okay, guys, thanks for watching. This is an old-time short video for me. And I hope everybody's doing well, and, I'll get back to doing my real historical blathering for, hours on end very soon. So I hope everybody's doing well, and I will be back within a reasonable time frame. Hope everybody's having a great week. Bye-bye.